Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm CJ Todd, and I'm so excited to moderate today's masterclass, The 5 Keys to Market Like a Hero During the HVAC Busy Season for Year-Round Growth. Let me ask you a question. Are you ready to make this your most profitable summer ever? Of course you are. That's why you're here today. And our hosts, Josh and Casey, will be sharing strategies to help you transform the upcoming summer rush into sustainable profitability for your HVAC business. Now, to make this session the most interactive and valuable as possible, please share your questions in the chat. So let's jump in right now. If you haven't already shared with us where you're from, city, state, that would be awesome to get to know you a little bit better. And this will also help us address your specific concerns during our discussion. Before we dive in today, I want to go over a couple of quick housekeeping items. First, this session is going to be recorded and we'll email that out to you later this afternoon. So no need to worry if you missed something. Don't stress out about taking too many notes. We'll get everything to you after today's session. And we'll have a dedicated Q&A at the end. So feel free, again, to drop those questions in the chat at any time. We'll keep an eye on those and make sure we get your questions answered. Definitely stay tuned with us till the end to go through that live Q&A session. I promise you, you won't regret it. Also, if at any point you're interested in learning how Josh and Casey can help you take your HVAC business to the next level, just scan the QR code that you see on the screen at any time. It'll be available all throughout today's session. That'll let you schedule that free discovery call, and they'll even send you a complimentary copy of Josh's book, The Marketing Revolution. All right, guys, I am so honored to get this started today. Please help me in welcoming Josh Cates and Casey Sprayberry from Hero Marketing.
Hey guys, thank you so much for joining us today. We are so excited to spend the next hour or so with you. My name's Casey Sprayberry, and I'm the client growth strategist here at Hero Marketing.
Hey guys, how are you? Josh Cates. I'm the founder and CEO of Hero Marketing, and we're so glad that you chose to spend a little bit of time with us today. I'm looking at everybody coming in from literally all over the U.S., and Casey and I are based in Texas. So for Crum, Texas, it looks like we got Oklahoma, we got Spring, Texas. Howdy to our Texans out there. It's great to see you guys. Hey, listen, we're looking forward to this. We had a very successful webinar in November. We're going to share a couple numbers of what came out of that. But first of all, I want to applaud you guys and congratulate you. We have set a new record with today's webinar. We had over 270 businesses who registered to join us today. So thank you guys for coming in. We're going to provide you with a lot of great value. We're really going to talk about how we can make some pivots and some adjustments so that you are extremely profitable with your business. And we're going to also share our expertise with what we're doing with our other clients across the nation. And most importantly, Casey's expertise having worked directly in a $25 million HVAC business. So thank you again for joining us. Just real quick, as CJ said, a couple of housekeeping items. We are going to be doing the Q&A at the end. That was very popular in November. We've given some more time to that on this one. So at any point, jump into chat, put your question in there, and when we get to the end, we're going to take as many of those as we can. We want to hear from you. We want this to be interactive. We want you to get as much out of this as possible. So just a couple of things. Hero Marketing is celebrating our 20th anniversary this year, and we are very excited about that. We are a family-founded business. When you learn about who we are and you get to know us, you're going to hear the term "welcome to the Hero family," and we genuinely mean that. We are passionate about caring for our clients and doing excellent work. One thing I want to point out, I want to highlight a couple of clients of ours that joined us in December after our November webinar. Our Google Business Profile views for our newer clients for January and February were up 53%. Our search results were up 117%. Our Texas client saw a revenue increase in January and February compared to the previous year of 16%. New customer acquisition up 15%. A huge shout out to Chicago, who saw a 52% increase in new customers, and to Florida, who saw a 41% increase in new customers and 19% increase in revenue. So why do I share that? We love the success of our clients. That's what we're all in this for. We love our agency. We love our clients. We love results. At the end of the day, that is what matters. So that's what we're going to get into today. So with that, I'm going to pass it off to Casey. We're going to talk about a couple of things, and then we're going to get into the 5 key points that we're going to be focusing on for the day.
All right, guys, real quick, we're going to jump in and just share a little bit of a background with you so that you kind of understand who we are and why we're here doing what we're doing. So first and foremost, I'm here because of the big man upstairs. But I started my life out, I'm actually from Kentucky, and started my life out, joined the military. I was a Marine, took off and went to see the world. And I have gone to college. I have a couple of degrees, and then somehow I landed in the trades, and I've found my home. I'm a super proud mom to 3 sons and a proud wife. And I actually cut my teeth in the contracting world with a home service company. We were residential air conditioning, heating, and plumbing. And when I started, we were about 5 million, and we grew the company really quickly to 25 million. Grew it up, we sold it, and we exited. And in that process, we learned so much about really elevating and operating at the next level. And so I'm going to hand it over to Josh and
Well,
let him
before you
introduce
do,
himself.
I think we want to know a fun fact about you. What is something
Okay.
about Casey that not everybody's going to know unless they really know Casey?
Okay. So this is going to show how Southern I really am. So I'm from Kentucky. One of my favorite things to do when I was growing up is spend all day in the creek catching crawdads with 2 plastic bowls. Now that's country.
That's Southern. That's Southern. Well, they say you can always trust a Southern person. So we have a Kentucky, now Texan,
Yes.
and you have a Texan. So very good, very good. All right. Well, let's kick off.
All right.
Here we go.
Sounds great. All right. So what we're going to talk about right here is why we're seeing most HVAC companies struggle with their marketing. Okay. I think it's very common that in the industry, we know that most businesses are relying on their peak season. And then we always hear about the shoulder season, right? We're struggling to keep up in the off season. A lot of times you have an inconsistent lead flow, which is going to make your revenue do the roller coaster, right? We want to get you some consistent revenue. You might have a lack of marketing tracking. Therefore, you can't optimize to gain more leads, and then you're wasting your ad dollars. Also, the competition is increasing. We know that there are contractors all over the place, right? And so standing out in a very crowded market is super difficult. It's harder than ever now. And so another thing is lack of ownership of your assets. We are finding that so many folks are, they're not owning their website. You're not owning your hosting, your Google business profile, your ads accounts, all of those types of things. We see folks come in and we're not sure what email address goes here or there, where your passwords are. Those are vital things that we want to help folks get their head wrapped around. Here's the good news for you, though, is with the right marketing and strategy, we're going to be able to help you create year-round success. And strategy truly extends beyond just your marketing. That's what's so different and great about Hero is we are digging in beyond your marketing. And so we're gonna get into that a little bit more shortly.
So let's talk about what brings you guys here today. This is a question we asked in our last webinar. Again, I encourage you guys to participate in the poll that CJ just put up, but this is good for us. It helps us kind of tailor the conversation today, and it also just starts showing us trends for what we're seeing in other clients that come to us. So first of all, are you overwhelmed by too many options? Are you worried about wasting money because maybe you're not tracking ROI properly, or you don't know if your tracking is accurate? Are you like, hey, I just don't know my numbers and I need help? Are you frustrated with a current or past agency? And on a positive standpoint, and we see a lot of clients fall into this category, I'm doing great, but I really need the experience to get us to the next level. Looks like as the results are coming in, we're kind of between overwhelmed by too many options and then worried about wasting money. We have doing great, but need experienced agency to scale. Very even poll results. Let's give these just a few more minutes to come in here. This is interesting as we watch this come in. Worried about money and tracking is still leading the way here. We work with companies across the nation. So one thing that I think is interesting is we see these trends developing on our end. So when Casey talked about intellectual property and ownership, that was a real big problem last year. We had phenomenal companies. I mean, companies anywhere from 7 million a year to 30 million a year that are like, we don't own our ad account. We thought we owned our website, but we don't. So I think one thing that is a huge differentiator for Hero, my background is an entrepreneur. I started my first business when I was 19. I'm now 47. I have successfully built 5 companies. Of those 5, I've sold 3. And kind of like Casey's background, I found success years ago in the home service space. It was a client base that we started serving. We fell in love with it. We did very well in it. And now that is about 90% of Hero's portfolio today. And so I think one advantage that we bring you guys is our team has the marketing, the technical, the paid, the organic expertise, but we blend it with Casey and Jessica and Gulam and some other team members that have been on the operational side and the marketing side internally behind the scenes. And so it's this really beautiful marriage of like operations and marketing. So as we get in a little later today into the topic of like operations, we saw a huge uptick in registrations when we sent out our CRM and operations email. That tells us that that's something you guys really want to learn about. So we're going to get into that and why we put such an emphasis on that. Because a lot of people are like, well, you're a marketing firm. Why are you looking at my Service Titan, or why are you looking at my House Call Pro? Because it's such a critical part of your marketing. So as we look at the final polls here, and the leader in the pack is definitely, I'm worried about wasting money with no ROI tracking. The ROI tracking starts from the second somebody clicks on that ad, or they call your call center, or somebody picks up the phone. And so Casey and her team are experts at consulting our clients on that portion of their business. And my goodness, let me tell you, it makes a huge difference. So let's get into what we're going to cover today. We have kind of 5 key points that we're going to look at. Number 1 is our proven marketing playbook. This is going to be something we can provide to you guys afterwards. It's something we've refined over the years, and it is a phenomenal piece to go through with your team and go through with us. We're going to look at how to define that clear ROI tracking. Where does that start? How do I do it? How does Hero step into that and come alongside you and benefit you in that? We're going to look at CRM and operational efficiencies. We're going to streamline that lead management, follow-ups and conversations. We're going to talk about market domination strategy. As Casey already alluded to, you're in a highly competitive space. And if you're not staying up with the latest trends and getting out in front of AI and web and other things that are happening, you're going to be left behind. So how do we dominate those spaces in your market? And then finally, if you are with an agency, or even if you're not, how do you identify ineffective tactics? What are those like landmines that you need to be looking for and go, that's totally me, and I need to fix that right now? So again, we're going to take a deep dive into each of these. And so let's start by diving into our first key area here, which is the Hero marketing playbook. So these are 10 common marketing mistakes, and the playbooks, it's quite robust. It was built to be extremely user-friendly. It's something you can print out and go through with your team, or you can go through the digital edition. It takes about an hour to do it the right way, but oh my gosh, it provides so much insight into your business. So again, we're going to provide that for you guys, but this is one of the exercises, is the top 10 common marketing mistakes. If you want to throw in the chat anything that kind of resonates here, feel free to. But going back to our original point about how we built Hero, we built it specifically to be a home service marketing agency with the blend of operations and marketing. And so I'm going to let Casey talk a little bit on the marketing playbook and our key strategies for success.
All right. So we all know that in order to grow, it's just vital to look at kind of the areas where we might be struggling, right? We can't fix it if we don't acknowledge it, right? So let's look around and see. I mean, be honest with yourself. Are you, marketing to your target audience? Are you throwing dollars out and hoping something sticks, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have consistent branding across the board? Are you looking at all the different metrics that play in together? Are we completely forgetting about social media, right? On all of our marketing pieces, do we have a clear call to action?
Mm-hmm.
Are we listening for customer feedback? Are we even asking for customer feedback? You guys can read these. There are so many more, but I want you to really think, to yourself and figure out kind of where you sit with each of those,
Mm-hmm.
and figure out maybe what's that one place that you want to really dig in and get started.
Mm-hmm. That's right. So let's dive into the meat of this. So for a minute, just imagine that you're a client of Hero Marketing's. I want to talk on area 2 here about what we feel is a huge differentiator, and those are our required monthly strategy sessions. I think probably if I was to tell you like the top 3 most common things I hear from HVAC businesses that join our family, or even that we consult with, is they don't own their intellectual property. Again, website, PPC, et cetera. And we'll get into why that's important. But the second most common thing I hear, and it frustrates the heck out of me because this is our job to do this for you, is I have to chase my agency down. I email them. Maybe I hear back in a week. Maybe I hear back in 2 weeks. there are certain things that should be done on your behalf. So Casey, I want to get into our required monthly meetings in the deck and kind of what you and your team lead and why it's so critical.
Sure. So really, this kind of for me is one of those things that I'm bringing from being on the other side of things. So through the process of going through an acquisition, right? We were really challenged to beef up our reporting. And so what I've been working on with clients of Hero is actually going through and having this monthly deck where we're looking at, KPIs that the big boys want to look at, right? We're looking at that new customer acquisition. We're looking at your revenue year over year by month. We're looking at total jobs completed, average tickets by marketing tactic. There's just so many things that you can look at to be able to know what's actually happening. And so one of the big things is we wait until your books are closed, right? We get into your CRM, we pull your data. That's the beauty of having been on the other side of it is I know your CRM really well, right? And so we're going to put all that data together, and we love looking at the year over year by month so that we can see where the trends are, right? We can start to see where there's patterns and know where we need to maybe make a pivot. We're looking at your paid performance, your organic performance, Google Business, your heat maps. And here's the thing, what's so cool about this is, during these meetings with my clients, it's actually one of my favorite parts because, so many agencies talk at you, right? Like I want my clients to understand what I'm talking about when we're sitting here going through this deck, like, what is your ROI? How am I getting this? Why is this important to you? And so we spend a lot of time educating our customers because we know we want to empower our business owners and operators. And so I'm really going to spend a lot of time, going through and really digging in with you guys and helping you understand the data there.
Yeah.
And
and this has been really critical. This has been something we've had in play for a while. And, you can talk to our customers and they rave about it because, again, it becomes very much a dialogue and a conversation about their marketing. The worst thing you can do is get to a point where you're just frustrated and you're ready to throw in the towel because anytime you make a change, it's hard, right? Or anytime you get frustrated, they always say, don't make a decision when you're mad. These monthly strategy meetings, and we talk a lot more than just once a month. We talk to our clients. We have a wonderful team member named Jessica that is our marketing analyst. Jessica also worked in the trades on the back end. So she knows job boards, she knows CRM, she knows operations. But I think that's one thing we want to encourage you guys is like, we are really going to look in and we're going to become this like hybrid of like marketing, coach, consultant, operations. I think our big point there is marketing can no longer be a standalone item. You can't just say, this is the bucket that I go put marketing in, but my team and I will handle the CRM and the operations. It really needs to be a give and take to where these conversations are happening weekly and like on these monthly strategy sessions because there is so much data that's coming in. I think that's where people get most frustrated is, oh my gosh, I've got Google Analytics coming at me. I've got paid media coming at me. I've got call tracking. I've got booking rates. I've got, revenue we've left on the table because we don't know how to rehash that. And we're going to get into that in a minute on how to find that lost revenue. And so marketing has changed quickly. Again, I've been in this game for 20 years. I started in print magazines. I remember literally a client coming to me and going, what is a website and do we need one? So we need to be aware of where we are in the marketing today and how that impacts your business, because what we want is we want you to dominate your space and touch every part of this at the best of your ability and ours working together. So let's talk a little bit. Let's talk about the job board. Let's talk about the weekly audits for data-driven decisions. This is something very unique at Hero, and I want Casey to explain this on what her department does here because it's a huge game changer for everybody involved.
yeah, so what we're doing is this is actually something we utilized at our previous company. We had a rather large pay-per-click budget, right? And so one of the things that we're always wanting to do is making sure we're maximizing dollars. And so I hate waste, right? I know you all hate waste. It's just one of those things, it's painful to waste your dollars. And so what our team is actually doing now, we're checking in on your dispatch board, right? On Mondays and Tuesdays, kind of after the morning rush, right? We know the shop is crazy in the morning. So, but first thing, we're looking at your capacity on the job board, right? We're seeing, are your installs booked out? What are you looking like on demand service? Where do you need the business, right? What type of leads do you need? We want to make sure we're maximizing your budget right where you need it versus just, blanketing it and throwing it all at something and hope it sticks. So really, and that's what's cool. We're communicating with the paid team, right? So that we can go in and have a look at your budget and say, you know what, we're booked out this week on HVAC installs. Let's go over here and hit up some IAQ. Or, we need more demand service to drive more revenue, to drive more turnovers and things of that nature. And so that's kind of the conversations we're having internally. And then of course we're communicating with our clients to do that. We also are looking at the marketing channels that are driving your highest value jobs. And, with that, we're going to adjust strategies. We don't want to keep on spending and spending and spending with the wrong tactic. It's just super important that we are pouring dollars into what's working. We're also going to track your revenue goals with you, right? We want to know your monthly goal because we are going to pace with you. We want to see how you're pacing for the month, where we need to dial it up, where we may need to dial it down. So that's one of the really cool differences. And also, one of the gaps, right, at most home service companies is rehash. We're probably all head nodding together because I can remember, thinking, gosh, we're really good at doing this. Our call center's great. Our marketing program's doing amazing, but we're leaving all this, unsold estimates and revenue on the table. I would click the follow-up tab and, feel sick because there's, hundreds of thousands of dollars sitting there unsold. And so one of the things that, we find to be just absolutely pivotal to operations is making sure you have an automated rehash program. And so that's what's unique is, I've lived it, breathed it, done it myself. And so I'm actually working with my clients and helping them implement rehash automation through Chirp. There's other programs out there, but we've just found Chirp to be super effective at automating the process of getting in touch with those leads and hitting them right when you need to hit them. Simply because we kind of forget, we kind of forget that these people, we've paid for that lead, we've been to their home, we didn't close, and now it's like, oh, well, let's just move on because we have a full board. And that's just lost opportunity. And so we are helping our clients. Actually, I've helped onboard 4 or 5 clients now, just in the last few weeks to get this up and running. And that's, the SMS, text automation and the email automation, it's performing beautifully for a lot of our clients.
Yeah, and I want to go back to a point that you made. So one thing when it comes to paid media, and I'll give you guys an example. So last week, one of our larger clients, we looked at their job board and we saw that their installations were pretty much taken up for the week. So what that looks like in practice is, I think, a lot of agencies would just say, well, these are my keywords, right? Repair, installation, whatever. This is my budget. And we just kind of turn it on and we run it. The problem with that is when we analyze companies, most of the time what we'll find is a pretty enormous amount of ad waste. And so you guys all said in here, a large majority of you said, I'm worried about tracking and ROI and ad waste. One way that we avoid ad waste is we look at this client last week and we go, hey, they're pretty good on installations. So let's pull off the installation keywords off of advertising, off paid advertising on Google this week, and let's focus on demand or whatever the case was for that client. And so we're moving that money around. The whole goal is that, again, we're a family-founded business. We want to manage your money as if it's our own money. We realize that every dollar you spend is critical for a small business. And so that's just one way that us looking at the job boards and pivoting your spend, I think, is a huge differentiator and one that you need to be thinking about as part of your strategy so that you're taking that money and you're putting it to use not only efficiently, but towards the things that you need to book. I also want to talk about here paid media management and how we treat the HVAC division. So one rule that we have at Hero is all of our key personnel have to have experience in the trades. And so our lead SEO writer in California has been working in home services for years, and she oversees all of our website content and our blogs. Our 2 directors of paid media have 15 years combined experience specifically in home services, because let's all admit, I've worked with Hero. I've worked in over 70 industries now. This is by far the most unique industry because you have to touch the strategy so often. If you're selling a a product to a consumer on Shopify. You just need to know that consumer, you sell the product, and you try to get a little better at it each day. But again, going back to our point about the job boards, there's constant pivots here. So this is not something that we want on the job training. This is something where we want our team, Casey, Jessica, Gulam, Sarah, we want a team that's already worked in the trades and go, yeah, I know how this works, and I know how we're going to pivot our strategy accordingly. And so again, going back to the point of eliminating ad waste, ROI, your keyword refinement, and then of course, CallRail. If you're not using CallRail, it's a great way. It's something that we implement for all of our clients, and it really gives us a true picture on where your leads are coming from. But more importantly, it allows us to listen randomly to those calls and look at quality of the call. But also, I've been really impressed with Casey and her team, how they've been able to consult clients and identify, hey, we see that you're losing customers here, and it might be a very easy fix. And so then owner operator can go back and meet with their lead or meet with their team and go, hey, we're losing leads here. They can make that pivot on their end because it's a problem we've identified listening to the calls. And then now all of a sudden your booking rate goes up. So it's those little things that make such a difference at the end of the month when you're looking at your revenue. So CJ, I think you've got another poll for us popping up, buddy. Let's throw that up here. Poll number 2. Do you have systems and processes in place to manage inbound lead flow, track the origin, and attribute revenue dollars? Let's give this a minute to fire up here. And then Casey's got a little follow-up here on what percentage of leads we're curious that you feel that you may be losing. So right now, about 60-40, about 60% are saying no, 40% are saying yes. Okay, and if you get into chat, feel free to share with us. I'd be curious to know what percentage of leads that you feel are falling through the cracks right now.
Yeah. I mean, do you think you're losing 10% of leads, 25%, 35% or more? Drop that in the chat and just kind of let us know where you think things are sitting.
So we're getting this poll in right now. Kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
We're getting a lot of pop for 11 to 25%. Casey, when you were running your large Texas business, what were you guys seeing kind of before and after you implemented? Give us some kind of real life from your experience with rehashing.
Sure. I mean, there were times in the peak season. I mean, you know, in Texas, it's 5,000 degrees in the summer. And so lots and lots of, you know, replacement opportunity. And in all honesty, you know, when we first implemented rehash, I want to say like the first month, it was a May, right? Mm-hmm. The first month, I think we closed like $80,000 in unsold estimates. Mm-hmm. And I mean, that was me alone. Mm-hmm. That wasn't even my full-time job. Mm-hmm. And so it's just honestly one of those things that you almost cannot afford to not put in place. Mm-hmm. I feel like it's just an operational structure, just like your CRM that you need.
I agree. And I like to see this poll. This is actually the one I was most excited about today because what we're seeing is a majority of the responses are between 11 and even some saying more than 35%. So again, I really want to stress the point of the fact that the way we're structured is so unique. Again, I've been in this space for 20 years. I'm not seeing anything like it. And so when you blend the beauty of operational efficiency and marketing, and especially when you get your team to buy in, like we talk to other team members beyond just the owner operators. And it's really fun because when you get buy-in and people start seeing the phones ringing and they start seeing the revenue growing. We had one client, they beat February's revenue by over $250,000. They've been with us about 70, 80 days. And we looked at February last year, again, looking year over year by month. That's a huge win for them. That's a huge win for us. That's the kind of stuff we love to see is like, holy cow, you just beat your budget by $250,000. That's a game changer for them. And the great thing about them, they're a wonderful family business. They provide excellent service so that we know the end user is also benefiting from this company growing. So
I've got one thing to add real quick. I think one of my favorite things to do, and you were talking about, we're not just meeting with owner operators. We're not just meeting with GMs. I spend time multiple times a week, with the lead CSR working through, making sure that we've got clean, crisp processes and systems in place. And I've helped, younger companies that are just getting rocking and rolling with social media, mm-hmm. I take some of the strategies I've used over the years, right? We had to learn the hard way. We figured it out, mm-hmm. right? And so my pain has become, your ability to just jump right in and use it. And so I've spent time with, CSRs and your ops managers we're just kind of working with the entire team to strengthen the entire team, because like we have been hitting in on this fact that, marketing is not, I always say, it's not the little office down the hallway, right? It is, I used to sit in the office with my boss, for years, and every decision we made influenced marketing, but also marketing performance influenced our operational decision making. They just go hand in hand.
So what would you say? So let's do a little homework here. So again, you guys have the QR code there. If you want to schedule a discovery call with Casey and I, we'd love to meet you. We do have limited space. We're a family founded firm. We don't want to get massive. We don't want to be a big box. We don't want to give you a rinse and repeat pattern. And then in 8 months, you come to us and you go, you know what, that just didn't work for us and we're going somewhere else. It wastes your time. It wastes our time. So we're very particular about who we work with, because we want you to be successful. We want you to be a great part of our Hero family. So if you do meet with us, I would love to give a little bit of homework here, because I think as people are watching this today and they're going, okay, you're giving us a lot of good information, but what should I look at first? I think step one is we want to get you that HVAC marketing playbook, because that's going to take you and your team through a series of questions and exercises. But when it comes specifically to CRM, what are some things that they could be putting down on paper right now and say, you know what, in the next 30 days, I want to accomplish these 3 things?
Sure. So, one of the things, when I came in, it's like, I'm always hounding. Where's call tracking? Get call tracking in place, right? We know there is no 100% tracking that's going to be the magic pill. However, if we know as much as possible where every dollar is going and as much as possible how much it's returning, we can eliminate the waste. And so that's the first thing I jump up and down on, right? Making sure our campaigns are labeled properly. If you use Service Titan, if you use, House Call Pro, making sure that if you're using something that doesn't have built-in call tracking, you're adding in that layer to label all your different campaigns, put your tracking forms. You've got to know where every lead is coming from, right? Relying on, thank you for calling such and such. How'd you hear about us? Doesn't work.
Well, what's the number one thing I hear you say on our meeting? So when we look at these monthly reports and we look at the segmentation, legacy number or website. So I think that'd be a second thing, is like,
Yes.
if you go and
Existing customer.
or existing customer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's existing customer, by the way, just jot this down. This is the first change I make with all my clients. It's not a campaign. We thought it was a campaign for years. It actually becomes the bucket that everyone falls into, that the CSR doesn't know where that lead came from. So that's kind of one of the first things we like to dissolve, right?
Yeah. And I would also say the other thing that we see common that would be a good homework task is any old legacy numbers or old legacy agencies. We've gotten in and seen like, oh my gosh, we fired this agency 2 years ago, but we still have them as a lead source in our tracking. And so cleaning up that data and the thing about it that I always tell business owners when I consult, write down like 2 or 3 or 4 things that are just nagging at your core, and let's get them off your plate. Let's have a 30-day challenge to say, you know what, let's either let somebody take that over, let's fix the problem where it's behind you, or if you choose to work with Hero, let's put that at the top of the list and let's fix it. Because I will tell you, when you get those nagging items off of your plate and you have a plan for growth, it is the best feeling for any business owner operator. So Casey, talk a little bit about Service Titan, call center performance. We talked a little bit about job capacity. So CRM and data-driven adjustments.
Sure. So one of the things that we do at Hero that is, super helpful, and it's really important that, whether you're working with Hero or you're working with someone else, or you're not working with an agency at all, right? It's making sure that you are consulting with someone that knows your CRM better than you do, right? Honestly, the way we all learned the hard way. And so what we're looking to do, we want to get in, pop the hood on your CRM, look at your business units, make sure that things are mapping properly, that you're set up properly, that your marketing tracking is set up properly, right? That is the thing I think that nagged at me. We talked about what's that nagging thing. Well, probably for my first year and a half, utilizing Service Titan, it was like, okay, yeah, we can put a number in here, and well, that's not enough, right? We've got to get to the root of, okay, is this a direct source lead? Is this organic? And beyond that, how much revenue did we generate from that? That's what's going to tell us where we need to be putting more of your ad dollars. Another thing is, giving yourself a little grace, right? Okay, so we figure out that your tracking's not the best. Not a big deal, right? We're not going to go back to the beginning of the year and clean all that data up. It's about fixing it a little bit more every single day. I've got a particular client that they are so gung-ho about, improving their marketing tracking month by month. So I give little homework assignments. I'm like, okay, this month I want you to go in and I want you to make sure that your call reasons are applicable to every phone call that comes in that doesn't book. Because what we want to be able to do is run a report and say, all right, we had, X number of unbooked calls. Well, my question, I'm the queen of why. I have to know why. And so what we want to find out, are these calls not booking because of call handling issues? Are we having, over the phone price objections? Are we dealing with people needing same day service and we don't have enough technicians, right? Those are the types of things that are driving the operational decision making. And so just by little bitty tweaks in your CRM, we can open up literally a world of data that can drive all your decision making.
Yeah. So let's get back into the topic of today. So we've unpacked a lot of things here. So the topic of today was, how do we turn the summer rush into year-round success?
Yeah.
So how do we turn the summer rush into year-round success? How do all of these little things that we start fixing now and start improving upon start telling the bigger story so that our company is extremely profitable and growing throughout all seasons?
So I'll be honest with you, I think it's biting off little palatable chunks, right? When you look at your business, there's always going to be something that can be better, right? You can have 20 things, but you can't do 20 things well at the same time. So it's really about just identifying, maybe your top 5 priorities and saying, okay, this month we are going to go in and we are going to tackle marketing tracking. Or this month we are going to sit down with someone that knows mapping, for say you're using Service Titan and you're using that with QuickBooks, making sure that those things are working properly so that every time you run your P&L, it's accurate, right? We are looking at those big nuggets there. And that's really, truly for us, the most important thing, because that's what's going to help you get better and better. It's the data. And Josh always says, bad data in, bad data out. And it's the truth, right? What we want to help you do is have good data going in. Therefore, you have good data coming out. It's going to help you make all those decisions that you need to make to grow your business and also to level out that curve of the shoulder season.
Yeah. And I think another thing that it's important to point out, it's kind of like you said, eating an elephant one bite at a time, right? So as you start making these changes and these pivots, you become more confident in your data, you become more confident in your marketing, then we're going to get into the budgeting. That's the cool part.
Yes.
But I think one thing that I want to point out is the segmentation of the types of companies. And what do I mean by that? I mean, we have clients that are doing 3 million this year. We have clients that will do 40 million this year. Casey's company did 25 million before it was acquired. We have quite a range of businesses. Well, each of those businesses have very specific needs at the life cycle that they're in, and we're very aware of that. So if you come to us and you go, my business is at 7, man, I'd love to get it to 10. Great. We know what you need to do. If you come to us and go, man, my business is at 30 and I want to get it up to 50. Okay. That's a whole different conversation. And so I think that we bring the marketing and the operational expertise where we can meet you right where you're at and say, this is what your company needs to do at this level, and this is our goal. I'm going to fly, CJ, we're a little over time here, so I'm going to fly real quick into my book. I just want to throw this out for you guys. This is a labor of love. I launched this on Amazon earlier in 2024. But when you guys meet with me or Casey and I, and we do a discovery call and talk about your business, these are very low pressure. Just we want to get to know you better. And if you say, hey, we have a need, there are some things that, yes, we know we can do, but we really just want to hire an agency that we can trust and partner with and have you guys do the heavy lifting. We love that. That's what we do all day long. I'm going to provide you not only the HVAC playbook, but I'm going to provide you with the signed copy of my book, The Marketing Revolution. This is intended to be kind of a walk along, just, 20 years of entrepreneurial experience written for the business owner, and it's had rave reviews. And so if you guys get a chance, schedule a discovery call with us. I'll make sure you get a signed copy of the book. Let's jump now into key area number 4, and that is market domination. So Casey, hyper-local targeting and making sure that we're leveraging all of the different channels, authority, trust, reputation management. Let's get into a little bit of what are the top 5 strategies for being the go-to brand in their market.
Sure. Okay, so biggest thing is the hyper local targeting, right? You have a finite budget and you cannot, there's no way that you can plaster your entire market and grab it all, right?
Mhm.
So what we're talking about when we're speaking about the hyper local marketing, it's running job reports for say the last 24 months in your market or the last 48 months, however you want to do it.
Mhm.
But it's knowing where you're dominating, but also knowing how much market share is left there,
Mhm.
because we always want to own the backyard first,
Mhm.
right? That's our number one goal. Own your backyard, then scoot out a little. And so we're able to help you do things like that. You want to prioritize your zip codes. You
Mhm.
know, having marketed in DFW, there, there are 4 counties combined here.
Mhm.
And so it's one of those situations where you have almost 500 zip codes.
Mhm.
That's impossible to do, right? You need to be marketing by your demographics, looking at renter percentages, looking at your home values, things like that, your income for your households. That's the type of thing we want to be looking at. Also, making sure that you are utilizing multiple layers in marketing, right? You have your same messaging out, say on social media as you do on streaming.
Mhm.
You have your radio, your PPC, your
Mhm.
LSA. All of those different layers are speaking the same message about your brand, right?
Yep. And then that coincides with the organic side, which is where Bob, our co-founder, and his team really lead the charge. So your website, your Google reputation, the authority and trust. I mean, people are going to vet you. You go out and you shop and you vet a new restaurant or you vet your barber or whatever before you go. These people are vetting you and you're in a competitive field. And so if you're not checking all those boxes, you're going to miss out on those opportunities. So organic, paid, operations, CRM, it all plays well together. We know very well how it plays well together, and we give each of it equal weight. I think I'm going to kind of jump forward here just because I want to give us plenty of time for our Q&A. And so let's jump into key area number 5, how to spot red flags in your marketing or marketing agency. I'm going to go back and just briefly touch on the 10 common marketing mistakes. So here's what I would say. Ask yourself these questions. If you feel like you don't have clear ROI, why is that? If they're not showing you the data, or most commonly what we see is they provide the data, but they don't provide anybody to explain the data, that's a huge red flag. We don't think that our clients should be left to interpret the work that we're doing. We come alongside our clients and we say, okay, you don't know LSA? Let's talk about it. You want to know what your cost per lead is and what should it be? Let's talk about that. So your data should be so crystal clear to you. And if it's not, that's a huge red flag. I would say number 2, a one-size-fits-all strategy. We took on a lot of clients last year that came over from big box agencies that said, I just bought the package. They set me up. I didn't realize I didn't own my website. I didn't realize I didn't own my ad account. They just kind of started doing stuff. I would hear from them if I emailed them and they gave me a live dashboard and I have no clue what they were doing for me. So again, if you're having to chase them and ask the questions, that's a red flag. High retainers and low results. I think my favorite thing that I hear is, oh, well, your ads aren't working because you're not spending enough money, so you need to spend more money. We're going to talk with you very clearly about your pay-per-click and where you need to be aggressive and to make sure it's something that's going to work for you. Casey's a freaking ninja when it comes to local service ads, LSA, and we have shut down and restarted as well as restructured some LSAs and really got those firing. That's a key component of your business. So if you're struggling with LSA, let's talk. If you're struggling with your Google ad account or Meta, let's talk. That's a lot of money out if it's not working. So we need to look at that. Poor communication. That's your 4th. And then again, ownership. If you're like, I don't think I own my website, or I don't think I own my ad account, or I don't know where these things are, huge red flag. So just ask yourself those hard questions. If you know in your gut it's time for a change, it's time for a change. If you know in your gut, I need help, I'm ready to go, I want a better partner and relationship, scan the QR code. We'll do a discovery call, see if we're a fit. We'll go on a date and we'll go from there. So now, CJ, I want to give us plenty of time for the Q&A. I know we were looking to start that at 1:44. If we've got some questions rolling in, then we can certainly jump into that at this time. Is there anything else in closing that you want to make sure that we touch on today?
I just think
I know what I want to do. Let's do this. What should somebody be looking for in a marketing partner?
sure. I mean, I am always going to be a contractor, right? That is where my brain lives, is on the contractor side. And so if I am vetting any sort of vendor relationship, right, I've got to know that they've been around and they know what they're doing. But beyond that, you have to have industry experience.
Mhm.
You cannot have someone random marketing for your HVAC company, your plumbing company. These are things that, it makes a difference when you live up north versus down south,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
If you're in Florida, you do a lot of heat pumps. If you're up north, you might have furnaces and boilers, right? So it's about knowing the
Mhm.
industry well enough to be able to break down
Mhm.
all of your ads and go after the right targets, but
Mhm.
also knowing to even ask those questions.
Mhm.
That's huge,
It
right?
is. Let's talk about also transparency and reporting, because I don't want to leave Bob out of this conversation. So Bob is the genius behind the scenes. So our co-founder, by profession, is a CPA and state auditor. Bob has been with Hero since its inception 20 years ago. And because of his unique background as a CPA and auditor, he runs our organic and auditing and strategy. And so when we talk about transparency and reporting, Bob's a big part of that, because Bob, in his role, is a co-founder. He runs our organic strategy, and he's our chief financial officer. So Bob knows numbers. Casey knows numbers. I know numbers. I think that's really unique, because what I've seen in a lot of instances is you sign up with an agency, you're assigned an account rep, and they're kind of just funneling you information, but they've possibly never run a business. They've never been an owner operator. They've never been a VP. They've never been a CFO. I think you're going to be really surprised at how transparent we are in our reporting, and how the reporting is such a key metric. If you know your numbers, you know your business, right? Like it's the oldest saying in the hat. But that is a big part of what you would want in a partner. Proactive communication, that is Casey all day long and her team. I have never seen somebody that is so in love with her clients and their success. And so Casey's team, who are great, again, they have that industry experience. That proactive communication is key. Like, what are we doing this month? What do we need to do? How are you looking? Let's look at your budget. What do we need to do? Like, Casey's going to kick your butt and make sure you win, because she's so adamant about her clients winning. What else? Let's look at 5 and 6.
Sure. So you need someone that is going to constantly be challenging you and bringing you new ideas, right? If you've got things they're not working, somebody has to say something,
Mhm.
right? Like I
Mhm.
can't sit back and let you just throw your money
Mhm.
down the toilet, right?
Mhm.
Literally,
Mhm.
pun intended for sure. So, it's important just to have that, no fear of being honest with
Yeah.
you,
Yeah. And then that constant refining. I mean, guys, I'm sick in the head. I'll tell you, I'm an entrepreneur. I started my first business when I was 19. I love watching you guys win. I mean, I start my day and end my day looking at numbers of every single client. If a client is not where they need to be, the team's hearing from me. I am constantly looking for, how do we refine? How do we grow? How do we test? How do we implement AI? How do we improve everything we're doing? And the numbers tell us if we're successful or not. And so, again, when we welcome you, one of the first things you're going to hear in that email is welcome to the Hero family. I cannot tell you how passionate we are about constantly improving and seeing our clients win. So with that, thank you guys. Let's get into our Q&A. CJ, I think you're going to come back on here and get some of these teed up. We're going to get some water, and let's get some good questions firing here for Casey now. We can't wait to hear what you guys are asking and get into it.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks, guys. I just want to ask if anybody would like to receive more information on how Hero Marketing can help you really unlock the next level of your HVAC business. Just go ahead and type into the poll, and we'll reach out to you afterward. Really looking forward to an opportunity to get to know you all better. Looking forward to learning your company, and looking forward to see how we can help. So if you'd like some more information on how Hero can help, please select yes in the poll. And with that, we'll get into the Q&A. So please make sure that you type your questions into the chat bar. But I want to get into a little bit about what makes Hero Marketing something very special. I've worked in the industry for the last 6 years, and I've seen a lot of marketing agencies, but none are quite like Hero, as I'm sure you can get from today's presentation. So with those 20 years of experience, and not just driving revenue, they also have experience improving the operations as well. And so that really means that they understand how to align the marketing and the realities of your HVAC business. So when those two things work in sync, growth isn't just possible, it's inevitable, right? And so they're also incredibly transparent, as I'm sure you got from today's presentation. They always know what's working, what's not, and use the data to make real-time decisions. Casey is incredible. She's someone that's actually been in your shoes, scaling HVAC businesses. And that's the real world experience you want in your corner. So again, if you want to get more information about how Hero can help, just go ahead and click yes in that poll. But with that, let's jump into the live Q&A. I'm super excited to bring Josh and Casey back on. All right, we got a couple of folks, Josh and Casey, that would love to ask their questions live. So I'm go ahead and find Mike Murray. Mike, I'm gonna unmute you now and allow you to ask your questions. Go ahead and ask.
And make sure you're unmuting when
Yeah,
you ask.
yeah.
I just hit. I think I just hit stay muted.
There you go.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, Mike, we got you. How are you?
I'm good. So we actually spoke, I don't know, probably a few months ago. And, you know, I've kind of fallen into the vortex of inbound marketing. And it's, you know, it's really made me think, and you know, I obviously believe in it, but I've never really, overall, I've just dumped money into it and gone about my day.
Mhm.
And what I'm trying to figure out is like, I like what you guys are saying, right? But I'm trying to grasp like how, you know, I'm trying to grasp how this would really work. Like, I believe, like, I like what you're saying about KPIs. I've struggled with our, you know, our SEO guy. I've shifted over, you know, they didn't do the SEO really. And then we were doing pay-per-click and they were like, well, you know, your ROI, if you made a $30,000 job, you made money because you pay us $2,000 a month. And I'm like, well, no, actually that's not true. On a $30,000 job, I make about 10 maybe. And, you know, if it takes 5 months that I've not made any money. So what I'm trying to understand is, or what I'm trying to get to in a long-winded way is like, what makes you different in that I work with these agencies, and I'm not saying I have a ton of experience, but they're basically people who were somewhat like hired guns, and they just aren't good at running businesses, and they think they're good. And you know what? Some guy in shorts in Florida who inconsistently does things does not make me successful because I've done it. So like, what's different? No, I'm being dead serious. So it was, so like, how do I get by that? Because I'll say one last thing is like my current SEO guys, right? I chose them on a whim. And a month ago, I texted them and I said, hey man, my Google reviews don't come up when you Google my website anymore. And it happened to be a verification on my Google business profile. And no one responded to me. And guess what? Yesterday I got onto my call, and it just happens to be, I didn't have like, I just signed up for your call earlier, but it just happens to be that yesterday he was going over our monthly, how well we do. And he goes, holy shit. Oh, sorry. He said, oh my gosh, you know, it's, something's wrong with your website and everything's dropped down. And like, so what makes you guys different? How do you do things consistently? Cause that's what I need. You can't, if you don't manage something, you can't really measure it. And then the other thing is like, shouldn't I expect my SE guy? Like, I'm not expecting 400 hours of work a month, but I would expect you to log in. I mean, you know, to see something, right? Is that too much to ask? Or is it, you know, does he, you know, maybe, you know, hasn't decided to put his shorts on or go to work or, you know, whatever, you know, it's tough to get guys to wake up, but I'm really struggling with, I never thought there was a tougher crowd of people that didn't know what they were doing in the trades. And then I got into this and I'm like, holy crap, there was like no qualifications.
Well, real quick, Mike.
Let me let Casey jump in on that one.
So I'm over here shaking my head. And here's honestly what is different is our team is comprised of people that came from the company level, right? I literally sat in the office with the owner and general manager for 6 years and learned how to operate a company, right? And so and again, I'm not going to tiptoe around things, right? I'm going to look at you and I'm going to say, you know what, this is broken and let's get together and fix it. But our whole team has experience in the trades. That's that's where I kind of jump up and down all the time. It's like, well, do you know about weather trends? Do we know, are we looking at weather collectively? Are we looking at the year over year trends? We're not making decisions based off of just your marketing metrics. We are looking at things holistically from an operational lens. And so to me, it doesn't get any more clear than that.
Yeah.
We're not just telling you, hey, we're going to pump some, dollars into SEO and we're going to crank out a few ads and call it a day. It's like, actually, we're going to do all of these things strategically, and then we're going to look at how it's performing, and we're going to pace and see how you're heading towards your goal for that month. And if we're not getting there, we're going to crank it up and we're going to pivot in real time, right? And nobody wants to be left holding the bag at the end of the month. We're like, well, we didn't hit goal, right? We're going to be checking those things for you in real time.
I think what I heard too is, guy in shorts. I mean, SEO is very interesting because a lot of people have gotten into SEO and they don't have a clue what they're doing. They're using black hat tactics. They're outsourcing it overseas, and it's going to do more harm than good. But the other thing too, I would caution everybody on this Zoom about is, be careful that you're not piecemealing your marketing. We have a full-time team and we have divisions in our agency. That division is Casey, who's client strategy and operations. We have a paid media division led by Jessica and Gulam. We have Bob and his team, Sarah, leading their organic division. And then I'm the head of the agency looking at our clients on a daily basis. So I think that, CJ, let's kind of get into another question here, but I think to sum this up, Mike, you need to move into a holistic agency like ours and don't expect too much out of outsourcing to a singular party, because I think you're going to always be left pretty disappointed.
Awesome. Yeah.
So thank you for your question.
Thank you very much for your question, Mike. And just because we're running a little bit low on time, I'm going to unmute Ed Moses to talk. But if you could please keep your question concise, that would be very helpful. So Ed, go ahead and unmute, and then you can ask your question live as well. Looks like you're still muted, Ed. There you go.
Hey, Ed.
Hey, Ed.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going. How are you?
Great.
Good.
So one of the challenges I'm still having is I don't know if you guys have a calculator where I can input all my every job.
CJ, I'm having a hard time hearing Ed. If he could type his question in, and let's jump on another one here. I see one that's coming through. While we're getting that from Ed, what software company do you recommend using for the best marketing practice? Casey, you can speak to that without even thinking about it.
That's a loaded question.
I would say the majority of our clients are on Service Titan, and they're supplementing with Chirp for their rehashing.
Yes. I mean, we do have a couple of clients utilizing House Call Pro. There's no knock to the softwares. It's just, I've tried multiple softwares, and for me personally, after using Service Titan, I had a really hard time going elsewhere. For me, it's all about the depth of the tracking and the reporting, right? All of those metrics, it doesn't matter if it's for operations or if it's for marketing. The reporting is what is driving the decision-making, and that is so much more accessible from my experience through Service Titan. But we've got some killing it using others.
Yeah. I think what I would warn you guys on that point, I don't have anything against House Call Pro. We have several of our clients that are on House Call Pro. Own your website. I cannot stress that enough.
Yes.
Invest in a WordPress or Joomla website that you own that content. And here's why. If you're working with us and you're doing search engine optimization and we're writing content and blogs and doing your backlinks and all the strategies to help you rank, why would you do that on a website that you're leasing that at some point you may not own? Put that money into your own website that's your intellectual property, and that thing's going to be there with you forever. I can't tell you how many websites we built last year for great companies that are like, oh my gosh, I've been paying X amount of dollars for all these years, and I need to own this part of my business. It's one of my most critical aspects of my business. And if you get to the point that you do want to sell, they're going to expect you to have a website that has great value, that's driving leads, and that you own. So a little bit of advice there. CJ, I think we got time for one or two more if people are still with us.
Yes, sir. I'll, for time's sake, just go ahead and read some of these off.
Okay.
Danielle Miller asked, what would you say is the best form of advertising so that we can own our backyard for the HVAC industry?
How big is your business, Danielle? What's your expected revenue this year? I think that's going to be purely a revenue question. because we're going to have different tactics. So the way we break it out is 1 to 5 million, 5 to 15, and then 15 and above is kind of how we look at businesses at Hero. And we have a lot of reasons I won't get into of why we do that. So what kind of revenue are we looking at for your business specifically? Okay, 1 to 5 million range. So Casey, I'll let you take that.
First thing, I mean, in all honesty, I feel like a lot of times folks hit the $5 million mark and they're like, oh, well, I think we're going to do a brand refresh. Do it from the start. Have your brand be the most important asset that you own. Your vehicles, your uniforms, all of your collateral that you have, it speaks to who you are, right? And there is nothing better than a rolling billboard. And your vehicles, that is what they are. You might have 3 or you may have 5, and it feels like there's 50 when you have a solid brand. So that is vital, in my opinion.
I would agree. In fact, and Danielle, thanks for your question. We have several clients in more like the 3 to 5 million range. And we have a handful of them that aren't even doing paid advertising. And I know it's like, oh my gosh, you're not doing paid advertising. But they have a great brand. They have a great website. They have a great online scheduling or booking engine. They have a great chat through Podium or something else, and great vehicles and a great organic SEO tactic. Again, that's Bob's divisions. That'd be search engine optimization, content marketing and blogs, your Google business reputation, and Google business and local citations. If you're in that budget, you can kill it with a good brand and with good organic tactics. And then as we get up to that next threshold, then we can start consulting you on other tactics that you can bring in.
I want to add really quick. I kind of see, like, say at that $5 million space, right? That's where, to me, it becomes, when you are in the $1 to $5 million space, if you aren't leveraging your social media, you're missing out. It is so cost effective, and it is the best way to teach people who you are, right? People want to know who's coming in their home. And it's just, it's an underutilized tool. So I say, get that rolling.
Yes. All right, CJ, what else we got?
All right, let's see. Chandra Painter asked, do cold calls still have a place in modern marketing strategies?
Do cold calls have a place in modern marketing strategies?
Okay. I'm going to go personal opinion here. I don't have time to pick up my phone. If it's a random number, it's not happening. Now, that's not to say if it's coming from a local number and it's someone that is sincere and not salesy and things of that nature, it could work. I'm going to be honest with you. I feel like texting is the way to go. Right? I don't want anybody cold calling me. I don't like cold text messaging.
I think your advice is going to be using something like Chirp and getting more aggressive with email and text, and then getting very specific in your advertising. So we have a wonderful Florida company that signed on with us early last year. And we started identifying that they're just, for whatever, their brand was resonating really well with the retirement audience. And so they're like, hey, there are these 2 communities in Florida that I think we really are underserved, and we want to just own those communities. And so we've started some specific advertising and geo-targeted just those communities. And it's only about 30 days in, but it's already producing a lot of fruit. So I think that's another thing that I would look at. I think I would agree with Casey. Cold calling's tough because spamming has gotten so extensive. I think there are other tactics that you can use that would be more efficient.
And I'll say, because I like for you to walk away with something, right? Like, I think what you could do in lieu of cold calling, if you're looking to drum up new business, is boots on the ground. Guerrilla marketing is not dead. It is cost effective. It is how you get your name out in your market using referral cards. I mean, business cards are so cheap. You can buy them by the 10,000s, right? Put an offer on them and go hand them out at a school, right? Go to a school event, go give them out to the police department. Get people interested in your business. And sometimes you gotta give, right, to get.
That's right.
And it's the law of reciprocity. So
That's right.
you give them something, and they're going to want to come and do business with you.
Yep. All
Awesome.
right, great.
There's still a ton of people on, so
Okay.
are we ready for a couple more questions?
Let me say something real quick to you guys. A couple of brands that we just worked on, Roman Air and Home Sweet Gnome, which is still one of my favorite names ever. They're doing door hangers. They're doing some guerrilla marketing. They're doing the strong branding. And you guys, these are both companies that are very young. They're very young in age and revenue, and they are growing and killing it because the names are fun. The branding's phenomenal. The personality comes through the brand. You look and you instantly have that trust in that brand. And so if you're on this call and you're a younger business, don't discount that we can do some really cool stuff for you that's going to move the pendulum really big without just saying, oh, well, you just got to spend $10,000 a month on pay-per-click advertising on Google. There are a lot of options to help your business where you're at. And that's part of where we can come in and say, here's what we've seen successful with our other companies. This is what we think we should try for you.
I've got something to add on to that real quick. We were just having a conversation yesterday with one of our, it's a newer brand. It's not a new client, but they have a brand new brand. And, you know, drumming up new business when you are new to a market is so difficult. And so I said, you know, I pitched it out. I'm like, run into the coffee shop, you know, pay for coffee for the 10 folks behind you. Give them a business card and say, call me if you need somebody to look at your AC. It's that simple. It's about doing something memorable for your people, or holding up your phone, doing a selfie with that row of 10 people you're buying a coffee for and saying, hey, good morning. You know, engaging with people in your community is the surefire way to get some business rocking and rolling.
And CJ, I just saw that question come through on online pricing. Let's make sure we get to that, because that is a hot topic right now with our clients.
I was just going to add another layer to that. I think what some contractors are feeling, and a lot of homeowners do too, is that our industry, everybody's a commodity. You know, anyone can install this, you know, machine, this box in my home. But that's just not the case, because it's your brand. It's how you make people feel. It's the quality of the job that you did, and it's your service agreements. So, I mean, yeah, absolutely. It's making people feel something that's going to stand out from just another name on a Google search, right?
That's right. That's right.
So yeah, let's go ahead and get into that. What do you think about online pricing?
And financing. I love this question. I can't see who that's from, but
Mike
thank
Murray.
you for asking it. So Casey, let's jump into both of those, because those are both really important.
So the biggest thing we utilized in our previous company, we did utilize an online pricing tool. You know, it's kind of how it's based on your process as to how well it works, right? If you've just got people going on and, oh, they're looking at the price and then they drop off and never hear from you again, right? That's not a great process. I love using the online quoting tools as a lead gen tool, right? So they come on and they see, you know, your basic, your good, your better, your best, however you do your models, right? But the goal is, right, we want to get out to their home, go confirm, yes, it is in fact a, you know, 3-ton system and it's for the upstairs and blah, blah, blah. Well, when we get there on site, you know, the goal is that we're going to take that and we're going to go from the basic SEER up to a 20 SEER, right? That's our goal for that. But people, you know, we've seen a major shift, obviously, in the economy. And so people want an idea of what they're going to have to spend. They're scared. And so I think giving people a taste of what it might cost is important, but also making sure that you annotate on there, right? That, like, we are going to have to verify that this is the right size system. It's going to work for your home, that your ductwork is set up to handle this. There are so many factors that go into it, but I mean, honestly, it's the way of the world now. It's like not having an online booking tool or web chat. You almost have to go there to be keeping up with your competitors.
It's instantaneous. People want instantaneous, but the main thing, and we learned this from one of our biggest clients up in Boston, is the importance of capturing that person as quick as you can. They may not book with you right then. They may not even ask for a quote, but if you capture them, that's where that chirp and that rehashing in your call center come in. So going kind of back to cold calls, we both, I think, have an opinion on cold calls, but like somebody fills out interest in financing or online pricing, you now have a fairly warm lead. You're getting on that. And then on that other side, so yes, we're seeing online pricing working very well, and we're seeing a few different tools for that, for lead capture. And then for financing, absolutely. Put it in your offers, put it on your website, let people know who you work with, what institutions.
I have one on that to add to the financing. One of the things that we've seen be successful with some of our clients that are utilizing Chirp is actually, okay, we know that we've got a sales call set up here, and our sales guy is en route, and we're going to dispatch that, and we're going to say, hey, we're en route to your house. You know, so-and-so can't wait to meet with you. Here's our financing link if you want to go ahead and do such and such. Now, if it's a hard pull, that's a little different, right? But it's about being able to automate those things, make it easy to find. Make sure it is on your website. If you have the ability to embed a link on your site, you need to do that for sure.
Mhm.
And all you got to do is reach out to whoever's handling your financing. They'll give you whatever snippet you need to have placed into your website, and then your web developer can, boom, embed that for you.
AKA us. Which, by the way, I don't know if we talked about that, but we do websites. We do everything. We had our plumber up north just had us add their InSinkErator and Kohler logos with you
Warranty,
basically
it's like
a warranty
checker.
link. And so
Yeah.
it's kind of cool because it's like, oh, we not only do we service this brand, but you can check real quick your brand and is it in warranty? Is it not? What model do you have? And again, anything you can do to make it easy on the consumer. FAQs are huge. If you don't have FAQs on your website, remember, I could not go upstairs and tell you one thing about my air conditioning system except how to change a filter. So anything you can do to walk me as a consumer through FAQ to engage me, great. Social proof, great. Financing, great. What could this cost? We have a client in Texas that does Valpak and does very, very well with a lower priced offer at a very aggressive price with financing, and they're doing very well turning that into lead gen and then getting in and maybe selling a larger system. So yeah, good question. That's a really, really good question.
I have a question. This is mostly for Casey, I think. Talk about how, since the topic of today is how to leverage the busy season demand for year-round profitability, such a big component of that, I think, is prioritizing selling service agreements during the increased demand of summer. So talk to me a little bit, talk to the audience a little bit about how kind of what we talked about today, like the operational, the CRM, how does service agreements fit into that, and how do you help like prioritize that to help contractors and seasonality?
First thing that I find when I start digging in, I mean, I ask a million questions, right? When I start working with a client, I want to know your dispatch fee. I want to know what your memberships look like, things of that nature. And so one of the common things I see with some of our smaller companies is just from the layout and the design of what the memberships look like, right? I like to see things organized. Like your customers need to see if you offer more than one level, right? It's got to be organized. People read left to right. They don't read the opposite direction. And so if you have a top tier membership, you want that here on the left column. Then you want them to see visually what they're going to lose by not going with that top tier membership. And then you leverage your CRM in the shoulder season. It's the worst term ever, but it's true. You leverage your CRM by maintaining great data and then pulling those reports out, launching them out into Chirp and going after folks and hitting them up, right? We're offering, we've got these service agreement members. We're offering, free dryer vent cleaning with a duct cleaning just for service agreement members, right? But we're also getting those maintenances scheduled and we're going to prioritize those maintenances, so it's helping with not only the recurring revenue, but if your team is properly trained to go out and actually really maximize a maintenance visit, it's not just a maintenance visit. It is so much more than that. It's relationship building. It's getting a review. It's creating a joyful customer.
A quick pro tip, and I just saw this in action a couple times because especially down south, we're getting into the maintenance in the spring and all that. You had a really good point with a couple of our clients of when you're looking at revenue year over year by month, be really careful that you're looking at that new revenue versus that recurring or membership revenue. Can you talk to that a little bit? I think that's something that as you guys are looking at your numbers, this is kind of a little bit of an operational CFO hack on how we look at them and how we would probably advise that you guys are looking at them as well.
Yeah, I like to look at it both ways. Because recurring revenue at the end of the day is revenue, right? But what I like to see is, okay, I look at the total revenue. And when I say revenue, it is dollars collected. It is not money sitting on the table. It is actual physical dollars collected in that month, right? And these are just things that we've learned through that process, selling to private equity, right? We had to step it up big time. And so we are looking at not only that total revenue, but then we're pulling out that recurring revenue and we're looking at for that specific month, what was your job sold revenue? And then what is your average job? right? You can break it down even further, but those are the big ones that we like to look at and make sure that we're comparing that. I don't like looking at month over month. I think that that could be a little tricky because, you know, say it's April in Texas and it's, you know, springy and 80 degrees. And then, you know, in May, it's 98 degrees and we're, you know, selling 10 systems a day. That's not a fair comparison. So I like looking at the metrics year over year by month. So say May 2025 versus May 2024. Those are just kind of some ways to look at trends.
Great. What else we got? Good questions. Thank you
Yes,
guys for the participation.
I see a
absolutely
question from
incredible.
Lori.
Thank you guys. So there's a couple that are kind of similar, and I'm sorry, Lori, I blew past yours. Where should a startup business start with marketing? And then an anonymous attendee wrote, just started an HVAC company in Texas. I'm the only technician, also doing a bunch of office work. What would you recommend for me to grow? So similar kind of, you know, startup kind of struggles. Where would you first address, you know, that from a marketing perspective?
So I rub my hands together because I'm like, okay, here we go. So first things first, right? Like I said, I feel like sometimes we start backwards. We forget to start with an impeccable brand. You have to start with your brand, right? You're asking, okay, where do we need to start? Make sure that you are hiring someone. We do this, by the way, but make sure you are hiring someone to help you develop a memorable brand that stands out, right? In a world full of noise, you have to stand out. You got to be risky, right? So making sure that you have that solid brand. Then taking that brand and making sure that it is on your vehicles, it is on your business cards, it is out in the area you're putting yard signs, right? You are going out in your community and connecting. Again, it goes back to those guerrilla marketing strategies because when you first start, right, you have a limited budget. And so that's where, you know, for me personally, I've had to go out and get new customers like that. And it's one of the most challenging things I've ever done, but it's possible. You just have to not only be willing to go out and do the networking and things like that, but have your family, have your team, anybody that works with you, they got to love it and believe in it. Get them out. Motivate them by spiffing them, right? You bring in a new customer here, I'll give you X number of dollars for that. Making sure you have door hangers out and about. Making sure that every call you do, you leave behind 5 or 10 referral cards with that technician name. And you tell your people, I will pay you $50 if you send me a new customer, and then pay them $50. Like, how do I manage that? There's ways to do it. It's not rocket science. It is so worth it to get that new customer, you know, and then you're spiffing your technicians in the process for leaving those behind and asking for the referrals. So there's just so many ways that are cost effective. I would love to be able to help you some, you know, to think on that.
Very good.
Yeah.
All right, buddy. What else we got?
Think that about does it for all the questions.
Okay.
You know, we're almost 20 minutes over on time, so I appreciate everybody hanging out who's still here. Josh, Casey, incredible content today. Is there anything you want to leave our audience with?
I think I want to hit on the complete flip side of Lori, and I think it's Chandra's, you know, startup. On the flip side of that, you know, Casey and I have been very fortunate. We've done, in the last about 5 years, a little north of 150 million in top line revenue just in our HVAC portfolio. You know, I've had some pretty huge wins where we've doubled revenue in a very short amount of money. Casey, of course, has done a 4X with her previous founders. There is a lot that goes in on the other side of this. So if you're sitting here and you're like, man, I'm at 10 million, 15, 20, 30 million, you know, the bigger you are, the bigger the mistakes can be. You know, we've seen ad waste into the 6 figures annually because a PPC campaign was just not running properly. That's a lot of money for any business. And so I think, you know, if you're sitting here and going, okay, I'm kind of intrigued and I'd like to meet with Hero, we have the expertise on the large side as well, because you're pulling a lot of levers. You know, Casey runs some clients where you're getting into television, streaming, radio. You've got direct mail, you've got rehashing, you're pulling all the levers that you can pull. And that's a whole different animal. And if it's not run properly, it can be very costly. But man, we can move the needle big time. So if you're like, man, I'm ready to go. I want to build up in the next 12 to 24 months. I want to sell to private equity and I know the number I want to hit. Then let's have that conversation as well. So I think we're just, again, we're so appreciative of you guys hanging around and staying with us. We can't wait to meet some of you who want to do a discovery call. And CJ, you do a great job as always. So thank you for being an excellent moderator today.
Absolutely. Very, very happy to join you guys today. Thank you. All right.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. We're going to leave you with one more chance to schedule that free 20-minute consultation. So here it goes. Thanks again. We'll see you soon.